Energy shift number 7. My goodness, I can't wait to show you this energy. This is big energy. An Aries total solar eclipse. And the window that it's affecting is from the 4th of April to the 19th of April, 2024. It's a big energetic window, primarily because it's such a big energy of the likes we have probably never seen on any sort of surf report or astrology report from the National Dream Center. So the biggest that we have talked about ever. All right. And that sounds like sensationalism, but this is a sensational time. So the eclipse does happen on the 8th of April, pretty much midday. It's primarily affecting or being seen from North America. And so in that time frame, it's pretty much midday on the 8th. But this energetic window that is being delineated here, we got a lot of alignments to delineate and talk about. And I got to make sure that you can actually see this behind my skull. So it affects that entire energetic window from the 4th to the 19th. And yes, one big event that lasts pretty much only like 4.5 minutes on the 8th is affecting this big window. Okay. And the window ends with some big Taurus type of energetic bombs. I can't wait for that video. But this one, ES7, we're going to be talking about all the astrology of it. But I first want to come back, zoom way out. And I want to show you a little bit about the eclipse itself. So zooming way out. And I want to make sure we credit these websites. I'm going to show you a couple of them. And, there's tons of them out there, but this can give you an overview of what's available. This one is the Eclipse Company. I'm sorry, the Eclipse.company, the word company. And I think it's a fabulous website because obviously you can see the eclipse going through Mexico, the United States, and then a little tip into Canada, I believe. Anyway, you can zoom in and out and you can see a topographical view, but it doesn't stop there even. You can even get some information on events on each one of these cities. So you can search for events over here, or you can search for just communities, parks, events. Anyway, really cool. And then it'll show you the actual time as you zoom in. Then you can go into more details. Like if you just want Missouri, for example, you just select on Missouri and it shows you this area, gives you the exact times on when to expect it and the cities and everything else. So that's pretty cool. Then if you really want something really neat, go to greatamericaneclipse.com, and I'll put these down in the show notes so you can just click on them. And I'm not getting paid by any one of these. I just found these super cool. This one's like as if you were in a plane over the total areas with the path of totality. Then this is what it would look like, and you can zoom to your particular area and get the duration, and the actual time. So there's, for example, is Arkansas. Anyway, that one is greatamericaneclipse.com. And I know there's like many more, but anyway, check those out. Then now as we get into more astrology, and again, still the overview of this cycle, we're looking at this entire eclipse cycle starts on the 8th of April and all the way until October 2nd, 2024, until the next solar eclipse. We're looking at an Aries ruled eclipse cycle. And that includes all these other new moons. Start with Taurus and Gemini. And so when we have these new moons, we're going to be talking about those in our weekly surf reports individually. They all have a main purpose of serving this Aries cycle. And the Aries cycle is about self-identity, self-confidence, standing up for yourself, etc. Independent and self-reliant, and just the energy of Aries. So anyway, we'll look at all that. And so when you start here, we're not going to be discussing this any further. So suggestions about creating the maximum effect from this entire 6 months of Aries ruled energies is to create, just like we do for a regular new moon. Let's say, for example, on May 7th, we're going to be in a Taurus new moon. And so we want to create Taurus objectives for that particular month, that 30-day cycle until the next new moon. But we're going to do the same thing for the eclipse, but for the whole 6 months. And those are going to be related to things about Aries: assertive and courageous, maybe creating a goal around your biggest fear and then facing it or tackling it or moving through that, like maybe public speaking, for example. If you've always been afraid of that, then maybe tackle that this 6 months. This 6 months is very Aries oriented, independent, and self-reliant. Think about how much collectivism we've been under for the past few years. This is an opportunity. This 6 months is to rein that back a little bit to get back in balance. If you are naturally self-sacrificing and collectivist, then this Aries cycle should be used about standing more up for yourself. And my needs do matter. Now, you can obviously go too far there, and we will deal with that accordingly. But it's about accentuating, getting back into balance, using your particular Aries skill sets. Why? Like, what's ruling these eclipse cycles? Like, what is all that for? Well, when we layer back out even more, it's about becoming a whole person. And we use all these cycles in order to live your best life, but live in accordance with your calling to carry out what you came here to do. And that really dovetails into this particular eclipse, because not only is it Aries, but it's over the North Node. So very karmic, determined fate kind of a energy. Can't wait to show you how this energy is going to play out. But going back to on the 8th of April 2024, it's best if you start to create a 6-month goal set, very Aries oriented. So things like energy and enthusiasm, competitive and determination, impulsive and spontaneous. You know, people like me have a tendency to overthink things or not move forward into a project until it's all figured out and all planned and everything. This Aries opportunity for people like me would be to develop some more impulsiveness and spontaneity in a healthy way, of course. How to be more direct and straightforward instead of walking on eggshells or hiding or repressing. Short-tempered and impatient. Now you can work the opposite direction in some of these skill sets. If you have some anger issues or outbursts, that one of those goals could be to reduce your anger outbursts in a healthy way. You could work on adventuring and pioneering. Aries are typically self-centered and individualistic. Sounds like a horrible thing, but to get this whole collectivist thing that we've been under for so long back into balance, we do need some more self-centered Aries sort of objectives. Take it too far, and we become narcissists. So it's about being in balance, right? All right. And one thing of note, we're going to be looking at these after April 8th. We'll be using this particular picture to delineate our cycles, right? Our new moon cycles and full moon cycles. And cool little thing this year, these full moons give Capricorns, interesting, 2 full moons in a row. June and July, both 21st of the respective months. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this playbook. So here we have the overview of energetically what to expect on April 8th that will eventually affect that entire energetic window. So first, on April 1st, Mercury, remember, is already in Aries. This creates a waking up to the dream because of all that energy in Pisces. And Mercury is in Aries and late Aries and starts to go retrograde. So in essence, he stays in Aries. You can see how we're developing this bracketed energy where more and more players are entering Aries. So Venus enters on the 4th. That's 4 days prior to our event. And then the moon is the day prior, enters into Aries. And so now it is Aries houses 6 heavenly bodies. Now that does include the non-planets, such as the North Node and Chiron. Let's see here. We started talking about this in one of the last reports. I can't remember which one it is, but it's a compressing of the planets. They're all getting tighter and tighter and coagulating together. So look at this. All the planets, if we include all of them except Pluto, then they're within 68 degrees. The eclipse looks like an Aries wedding procession as all the players are standing around centered. I'll show you this really quick. See there? You got the sun and the moon at 19 degrees, 24. Interesting how Chiron is exactly over the new moon, the eclipse. But you have all these players then standing right beside it, kind of like a wedding procession. And the window ends, so on the 19th of April, the big Taurus alignments, we'll go through those obviously in the next video. But as far as the actual solar eclipse, it's at 19 degrees, 24 minutes of Aries, the exact conjunction over Chiron to the minute, exactly over. And then the North Node is 4 degrees orb off, and Mercury retrograde is also conjunct with this total solar eclipse, and that's a 5-degree orb. So Mercury retrograde combust. We got to delineate that. And then some other alignments. One is Jupiter and Uranus starting its conjunction, and then we have Mars passing over Saturn, and we have to delineate that. We have to include that in this energy. Also to include are a lack of squares. This square is almost completely aged out. Other than that, we have a lot of conjunctions. We have a lot of semi-sextiles, and we have a couple of sextiles with Pluto. So, man, it's clear skies energetically, just conjunctions, and what could possibly go wrong, right? Now, because the moon and the sun are together, the way we then go look for the eclipse down here, and the sun is parallel, meaning that they're in the same inclination. And so the moon is going to move in front of the sun. And so what we need to do now is to look at all of the archetypes. So first of all, I have all these pictures here for the different archetypes. The front and center, the biggest one, in my opinion, is just the solar eclipse in Aries. This is the emerging phoenix, the rising phoenix. The eclipse itself sparks a rebirth, just as the phoenix mythically rises from its own flame. You may find yourself unexpectedly transforming. Old identities and habits are so consuming that you can soar higher with a renewed sense of adventure and purpose. So purpose is in there with not even including the North Node yet. So then we move over to the volcano and we look at the archetypical picture for the North Node. So total solar eclipse conjunct North Node is a volcanic visions calling your soul. Imagine a dormant volcano stirring within, Molten purpose and potential now surge skyward in a fiery display. This kind of sounds like the rising phoenix in a way, doesn't it? It's fire energy upward. So we already have two, the rising phoenix and the volcano, separate things, right? And so you can kind of see where this overall triangulated energy is going to look like. But to continue on the North Node, molten purpose and potential now surge skyward in a fiery display, hardening new terrain that changes the lay of the land. Though upheaval may unsettle, now that dramatic releases shape the scenery your destiny intended you to traverse. All right, next, as if you didn't have enough upward energy, now we have a hot air balloon that is basically burning. This picture is supposed to depict a burning of the consuming the weighted bags down below. So what after this is successfully gets rid of the bags and the heaviness, then you can expect this hot air balloon to skyrocket upward. Again, that's the third energy that's going upward. So this is the this is putting it all together. This is also the North Node, just a different metaphor. So sorry. When the eclipse strikes the North Node, destiny's seed implanted in past life bursts into an intense new flame. The phoenix fire consumes whatever holds you back from your higher calling, from the ashes of old limitations. Basically, you're getting rid of, through this eclipse over the North Node, is you're burning the old limitations so you can soar, adding to the rising phoenix. All right, what's next? We have conjunct Chiron. Remember, this conjunction is exact at 19 degrees, 24 minutes of Aries. At the time of the eclipse, Chiron is exactly on line with that. So that means this is extremely important. And again, we have more fire in our delineation. Reforging the broken blade. Chiron is a blacksmith tempering steel in the hottest part of the flame. Old patterns and limitations tied to past hurts are melted down. With careful shaping, they can be formed into effective tools rather than liabilities. Where you were broken now becomes the strength that cuts through obstacles. There's more fire and there's more getting rid of limitations. Not just getting rid of limitations, it's actually transforming them into strengths, okay? Your past hurts are now your strengths. And then we have Mercury retrograde combust. It is when an eclipse collides with Mercury retrograde, communication becomes a tangled mess. Important discussions are getting jumbled like a ball of yarn after a game with a curious cat. Don't despair. Gently pick up all the knots. Pick at the knots to unravel the meanings beneath. Answers may emerge even if the original words no longer make coherent sense. And then we have the runaway bulls. And what is this for? This represents the Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And it's an important one, very slow one. This is the one iconic image that is going to be part of ES8. One of the main parts of ES8 is Jupiter and Uranus conjunction in Taurus, but it starts around the time of the eclipse. And so this one, clearly the bulls, the twins, the Jupiter and Uranus are together in Taurus, taking off and plowing in new fields. So nothing beats revolution quite like brute force. View this transit upbeatly, loosening the reins. What was once shocking may become sensible as proven methods blaze new trails towards more abundant and liberated varieties of prosperity and security. And there's no way to control it, so don't even try. And then finally, we would be amiss if we didn't include Mars and Saturn in a tight conjunction in Pisces. So this is the ship straining in stormy swells, like an old vessel battling rogue waves. Inner drive encounters resistance just as clarity dissipates. Steadying efforts feel a watery tug of war between will and surrender. Whew. It's going to be a very difficult transit there. And so let's put it all together. How about that? So here we have our delineation of all the archetypes together. A solar eclipse in Aries is powerful just by its own merit. But this volcanic rising phoenix has afterburners on it with full thrust. First, the warrior named Chiron is precisely over the eclipse, and he's forging brand new blades for all your broken swords. The North Node, also conjunct, will set you on your true calling this eclipse cycle. And it might include burning away any of the old life that was keeping you tethered to your non-calling. All the stuff you were being distracted by that have nothing to do with your calling. And the heavy weights will be cut, will be burned and released, sending you higher. The Mercury retrograde combustion will add confusion and major communication disruption, so the rising phoenix may have an isolating feel to it. I'm not saying that we're guaranteed to be cut off from society or to your loved ones, like physically, but even if it's just in your own mind, it's a jumbled mess up there. So the difficulty in communicating will probably make it feel very, very isolating. And of course, we have a chance of this to be an actual, like, literal manifestation, but I don't know. I'm not predicting that necessarily. I'm just going for the feel of this eclipse. Also, at the time of the eclipse, Uranus and Jupiter combine to feel like runaway bulls that become optimistically expansive, but nonetheless unstoppable. Likewise, to Mars and Saturn in Pisces, tumultuous landscape proves to be an intimidating breeding ground for the rising phoenix. So it is going to be time, starting on 4/4, as we gear up for the eclipse on 4/8/24. It is time to prepare to reach for your true calling. And some of this is going to be out of your control. Some of it's going to be in your control. It's not just one of those things to sit by and just wait for something or your higher self or your inner authority to just put you on your life calling. But there will be some of that. Some of those circumstances will be out of your control. And then finally, with some Van Halen playing in the background, can you hear it? No, I can't play it because I don't want to get a copyright suit, but play Dreams. If you want the full experience, play Van Halen and Dreams, or if you don't like that song, play Eruption, and you'll get why this energy is almost all yang on the yin-yang meter. There is so much fire. I guess the only reason why we aren't completely yang in this energetic window is the emotional difficulty that we have, our yang difficulty in Pisces with Saturn and Mars together. It's the only little decrement, but everything else is very much yang, even to the point of the mental confusion is more yangy in nature. If nothing else, it's all happening in Aries. So the Mercury combust is in Aries, very yang, especially the runaway bulls in Taurus. Taurus is a feminine archetype. This is the result. This energy's result is very yang. So almost entirely yang. It's a 95% yang. And for all intents and purposes, a very yang period. And good for the entire window, by the way, all the way to April 19th, in my opinion. All right, so just to summarize, on ES7, Energy Shift number 7 playbook, there's a lot happening on this eclipse, a lot more than just an eclipse. Like, that's enough, but there's so much more happening, and there's things that you can do and should do. You should increase your odds of being more on your true calling by putting those into your goal sets on April 8th. And they're very Aries oriented because they are self-identity. They're very North Node oriented, meaning that they're part of your calling, your higher calling. And so start to identify things that have been pulling you from your higher calling. Are you one of those that doesn't know your calling yet? That would be in and of itself a wonderful objective for this 6-month period. As you sort that out, use every one of those new moon periods inside of the next 6 months to increase your chances of understanding what it is you came here to do on this planet. Why are you here at this time? Many of us know, but many of us don't know. And it does, and it can change too throughout a lifespan. So this might be a change in your calling, but it should feel like inner knowing. It should feel very emotionally connected and confident, spiritually confident. So there's this knowing that can empower, it can produce a pressure inside to get it done, but it's calming because it's an inner knowing. Okay. All right. That's all I have for this video. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your shares, your likes, your comments. You guys rock. And I look forward to our next video. Take care, everybody.